Part 1. The darkness of space held many terrors, but none were more feared than the Krathul. For 3 long years, their black ships had moved through the galaxy like death itself. They destroyed everything they touched. Planets burned. Space stations fell silent. Millions of innocent people died screaming into the void. Commander Jake Morrison stood in the control room of Meridian Point, a small colonial station on the edge of human space. He was a tall man with tired eyes and gray hair that had turned white from stress. The holographic map in front of him showed red lights blinking across 17 star systems. Each red light meant another colony had fallen to the Krathul. "They hit Bellwood last night," said Lieutenant Amy Carter. She was young, barely 25, but her voice shook with fear. 4 million people, all dead. No warnings, no mercy. Just like all the others. Jake felt his stomach twist. He had friends on Bellwood. Good people who had moved there to start fresh lives. Now they were gone, turned to ash by alien weapons that humanity could barely understand. The Krathul were not like the aliens from old stories. They did not come in peace. They did not want to trade or talk. They wanted only 2 things: complete surrender or total death. Every species they met received the same choice. Kneel or die. The outer colonies had tried to fight back. Brave pilots flew old fighter ships against the alien armada. Soldiers with basic weapons stood their ground on dying worlds. None of it mattered. The Krathul technology was too advanced, their ships too powerful, their hatred too strong. "What about the messages we sent to Earth?" Jake asked. He already knew the answer would disappoint him. Amy shook her head. Her brown hair fell across her face. "Nothing yet, sir. It has been 8 weeks. Even if they got our signal and sent help right away, it would take another month to reach us." Jake wanted to punch something. The outer colonies had always been forgotten by the core worlds. Earth was too far away, too busy with its own problems. The politicians on Earth did not care about frontier settlements. They were too small, too scattered, too unimportant. On the holographic display, the Krathul fleet suddenly changed direction. Jake's blood turned cold as he watched the enemy ships adjust their course. "Sir," Amy whispered. "They are coming here." Jake pulled up the calculations. The numbers on the screen confirmed his worst fear. 72 hours until they arrive. Around the control room, other officers stopped what they were doing. They all stared at Jake, waiting for orders that could save them. But Jake had no real plan. Meridian Point was home to 200,000 people. Most of them were families. Miners and their children. Farmers trying to grow food on new worlds. They had no warships. No planetary shields. No hope. "Start evacuating everyone who can fit on the civilian transport ships," Jake ordered. His voice sounded hollow in his own ears. "Send them deeper into the frontier. Maybe they can hide until this is over." Nobody asked what would happen to the people who could not evacuate. They all knew the answer. Suddenly, every computer in the control room started beeping at once. The sensor station lit up like a Christmas tree. Officers shouted in confusion as new data flooded their screens. "Sir." The sensor operator was a young man named Tom. His hands shook as he worked the controls. "I am getting a massive signal on the edge of the system. Something just appeared out of nowhere." Jake rushed to the sensor station. His heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. "Show me what you found." The holographic map changed. It zoomed out to show the entire star system. At the very edge where deep space began, a single bright dot appeared. The computer tried to calculate its size. The numbers scrolled faster and faster. "That cannot be right," Amy said. She moved closer to look at the readings. "According to this data, that ship is over 5 kilometers long." Jake stared at the display. 5 kilometers? That was bigger than anything the colonies had ever seen. Bigger than any ship humanity should have been able to build. "Is it another Krathul vessel?" Tom shook his head. His fingers flew across the controls. "Negative, sir. The energy pattern is completely different. And I am picking up a signal. It is broadcasting identification codes." There was a long pause. Tom looked up at Jake with tears running down his face. "Sir, those are Earth military codes." "That is a human warship." The control room exploded with noise. Officers shouted with joy and disbelief. Some people hugged each other. Others cried with relief. Jake felt his knees go weak. He grabbed the edge of the console to keep from falling. Earth had finally answered. After years of silence, after watching colony after colony die, the core worlds had sent help. And they had sent something massive. "Get me a visual," Jake commanded. His throat felt tight. "I want to see what Earth sent us." The main screen flickered. Then the image appeared and everyone in the control room fell silent. The ship was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It hung in space like a metal mountain, covered in armor plating and weapon systems. Its front was shaped like a spear point, ready to stab into the heart of any enemy. Along its sides, Jake could see the name painted in huge letters, USNS Defiant. The ship bristled with guns. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Energy weapons, missile tubes, railguns that could throw metal slugs at incredible speeds. This was not a transport ship. This was not a diplomatic vessel. This was a machine built for one purpose only: war. "My God," Amy whispered. Jake could not speak. He just stared at the Defiant, feeling hope bloom in his chest for the first time in 3 years. The Krathul were coming with 40 warships. They thought they would find a helpless colony ready to be destroyed. Instead, they were going to meet Earth's answer. The communication system beeped. A new voice came through the speakers. It was a woman's voice, calm and professional. "Meridian Point, this is Captain Nicole Brady of the United Nations Space Navy ship Defiant. We received your distress call. We are here to help." Jake grabbed the microphone with shaking hands. "Captain Brady, this is Commander Jake Morrison. Thank God you are here. The Krathul fleet is 72 hours away. They have destroyed everything in their path." "Understood, Commander. Send us all the information you have about the enemy. We will handle this," Jake laughed. It was a slightly crazy sound, but he could not help it. "We will handle this." 4 simple words that changed everything. The Krathul had ravaged the galaxy for 3 years. They had killed millions. They thought humanity was weak and easy to destroy. They were about to learn they were wrong. Earth had sent the Defiant, and the Defiant had come to fight. Captain Nicole Brady stood on the bridge of the USNS Defiant. Her hands were clasped behind her back as she watched her crew work. Officers moved quickly across the large command center. Their voices were calm even though they all knew a battle was coming soon. Nicole was 42 years old with short black hair and sharp green eyes. She had spent 20 years in Earth's Navy, working her way up from a simple pilot to the captain of the most powerful warship humanity had ever built. The Defiant was her ship and she would use it to protect her people. "Give me a status report," she said. Commander Peter Hayes looked up from his station. He was her second in command, a good officer with 15 years of experience. "All systems are working perfectly, Captain. Main weapons are charged and ready. Fighter wings are prepared to launch. Engineering says the jump drives are cooling down normally after our long trip." Nicole nodded. They had spent 3 months traveling through space at faster than light speeds, racing to answer a desperate call for help from people who thought they had been forgotten. The Defiant was the newest ship in Earth's fleet. It was designed for exactly this kind of mission. "Open a communication channel to Meridian Point," Nicole ordered. Lieutenant Danny Fisher worked at his console. He was the youngest officer on the bridge, only 23 years old. "Channel is open, Captain." "Meridian Point, this is Captain Nicole Brady of the United Nations Space Navy ship Defiant. We received your distress call. Hold your position and send us all information about the hostile forces." The answer came quickly, a man's voice filled with emotion. "Captain Brady, this is Commander Jake Morrison. Thank God you are here. The Krathul fleet will arrive in 70 hours. They have destroyed everything they have found. Every colony, every ship, everyone." Nicole's face became hard. She had read the reports during their journey. The Krathul Dominion had appeared from unknown space with advanced technology. The scattered frontier settlements could not stop them. "Commander Morrison, send all intelligence about these enemies. Their weapons, their tactics, how many ships they have, everything." "Sending it now, Captain." Nicole turned to Lieutenant Commander Lisa Green, her tactical officer. Lisa was 35 with red hair and a sharp mind for combat. "What do we know?" Lisa studied the incoming data on her screen. "The Krathul use energy weapons mostly. They also have kinetic missiles. Their ships have strong shields, but they seem weak against sustained fire. Their tactics favor overwhelming force and fast attacks." "How many ships are we facing?" "Reports show a battle group of about 40 vessels. They range from small frigate-sized craft to 3 capital ships about 800 meters long." Nicole did the math in her head. 40 ships was a large force. They were designed to crush any resistance through pure numbers. But they had never faced anything like the Defiant. "Captain," Peter said quietly, moving to stand beside her, We are one ship against their entire fleet. One very big ship, Nicole replied with a small smile. And we did not travel all this way just to turn around. She raised her voice so everyone on the bridge could hear. Listen carefully, everyone. For 3 years, the Krathul have terrorized our people. They have burned our colonies. They have murdered our citizens. They think humanity is weak because our frontier could not stop them. Nicole pointed at the main screen. Today we show them they were wrong. Today we show them that Earth protects its own. Today we teach these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity. The bridge crew erupted with determined voices. Their fear turned into resolve. Helm, plot a course to intercept the Krathul fleet, Nicole commanded. We are not waiting for them to reach the colony. Engineering, move all extra power to weapons and shields. Tactical, I want firing solutions ready for every hostile ship the moment they come into range. Yes, Captain, came the chorus of responses. The Defiant began to move. Its massive engines burned bright against the darkness of space. 5 kilometers of Earth's best engineering and firepower, carrying the hope of millions of people on its armored hull. Communications. Send a message to the Krathul fleet on all frequencies, Nicole said. Tell them to withdraw from human space immediately or face the consequences. Danny worked his console. Then he looked up with surprise. Captain, we are receiving a response. It is audio only. Let us hear it. A harsh, rough voice filled the bridge. The computer translated the alien words into flat English. Human vessel, you are in Krathul hunting grounds. Surrender your ship or be destroyed. Your species is weak. You will submit or die like the others. Nicole smiled coldly. Send this reply. This is Captain Nicole Brady of the USNS Defiant. You have violated human territory. You have murdered our people. This is your only warning. Withdraw now or I will personally make sure that none of your ships leave this system alive. There was a pause. Then harsh laughter came through the speakers. One ship. You send one ship against the might of the Dominion. Your species is more foolish than we thought. We will take your vessel and use it to destroy your homeworld. The transmission ended. Peter looked at Nicole with concern. Captain, they are not taking us seriously. Nicole's smile grew wider. Her eyes became cold as ice. They will. She turned to face her crew. She felt the weight of command, the responsibility of everyone counting on them. Behind them, scattered across the frontier, millions of colonists watched and waited. Ahead, an alien armada approached. Confident in their power, sure of their victory. All hands go to battle stations, Nicole announced. This is not a drill. Prepare for combat. Throughout the massive warship, alarms rang out. Blast doors sealed shut. Fighter pilots ran to their craft. Gun crews loaded weapons that could crack planets open. Engineers stood ready to keep the great ship alive through whatever hell was coming. The Defiant accelerated, racing toward the enemy with all the fury of humanity behind it. Deep in the fighter bay, Lieutenant Kyle Henderson climbed into his cockpit. His heart pounded, but his hands were steady. He had trained for this his whole life. Around him, other pilots did the same, checking weapons, running through pre-flight sequences, preparing to launch into the black. All pilots, this is the captain. Nicole's voice came through their helmets. You are the finest fighters Earth has ever produced. Those aliens think we are easy prey. Show them what human pilots can do. Kyle smiled and powered up his fighter systems. Yes, ma'am. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Ben Morris watched his displays carefully. The Defiant's power core was a marvel of technology. Fusion reactors that could power a small city. Energy conduits that could channel enough electricity to vaporize a mountain. Everything was running perfectly. Keep those reactors stable, Ben told his team. The captain is going to need every ounce of power we can give her. Back on the bridge, Nicole watched the countdown timer. 68 hours until the Krathul arrived. But the Defiant was not waiting. They were going out to meet the enemy halfway. Captain, Lisa said, all weapons systems are armed and ready. Fighter wings report ready for launch. Shields are at maximum power. Nicole nodded. She thought about all the people depending on them. The colonists on Meridian Point, the settlements across the frontier, the families on Earth who had sent their sons and daughters into space. She would not let them down. Take us to battle speed, Nicole ordered. The Defiant surged forward, a titan of metal and fury. Humanity's answer to those who thought they could prey on the weak. The Krathul were coming, but they were about to face Earth's wrath, and nothing in the galaxy would be the same after this day. The Krathul fleet burst out of faster-than-light travel like a swarm of angry insects, 40 warships arranged themselves in a battle formation that had crushed dozens of civilizations. Their weapons began charging immediately. Dark hulls absorbed the light of the distant star, making them look like holes in space itself. On the bridge of the flagship Worldbreaker, war leader Thrakus watched his tactical display with satisfaction. He was a massive creature, nearly 3 meters tall with 4 glowing eyes and sharp claws. His species had conquered many worlds. This would be just another easy victory. "One ship," he growled in his native language. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "The humans send one ship to oppose the Dominion. Their stupidity will lead to their extinction." His second-in-command, Crixus, studied the sensor readings more carefully. He was older than Thrakus, with scars across his armored hide. "War leader, the human vessel is much larger than we expected. It masses over 10 million metric tons." Thrakus waved his clawed hand dismissively. "Size means nothing without the courage to use it. These soft species are all the same. They build ships for show, not for war. We will tear through their defenses like they are made of paper." The Krathul fleet moved forward, their weapons locked onto the single human ship. Thrakus allowed himself a moment of pride. After this battle, the path to the human core worlds would be open. Their Earth would burn just like all the other planets they had destroyed. "All ships open fire," he commanded. 40 warships unleashed hell at the same time. Energy beams bright enough to blind shot through space. Each beam had enough power to vaporize mountains. Kinetic missiles accelerated to incredible speeds. Each missile carried enough explosive force to level an entire city. All of these weapons converged on the human ship. It was a devastating attack that had shattered entire fleets, that had broken the defenses of 100 worlds, and the Defiant's shields lit up like a blue star. Every single shot was absorbed harmlessly. On the Defiant's bridge, Nicole watched the tactical display calmly. The enemy's opening attack washed over their defensive screens like rain on a window. "Shield status?" she asked. Lisa checked her console. "Shields at 97% and holding, Captain." "Their weapons barely scratched us." Nicole nodded. The Defiant had been built with technology developed over decades. Its shield generators were powered by fusion reactors that could create the energy of a small sun. The Krathul weapons were strong by frontier standards, but they were designed for fighting primitive civilizations. "Return fire," Nicole commanded. "Main batteries target their capital ships. Show them what real weapons look like." The Defiant's primary weapons came alive. Along its sides, massive railgun turrets moved into position. Each barrel was over 100 meters long. The magnetic accelerators began charging, a rising sound that could be felt through the entire ship. "Firing," Lisa announced. The railguns roared, solid metal projectiles, each weighing several tons, were thrown forward at a large fraction of light speed. They crossed the distance between the fleets in seconds, moving too fast for the Krathul to track or avoid. The first projectile struck the nearest Krathul capital ship directly in the center. The alien vessel's shields flared bright. They held for less than a second. Then they collapsed under the kinetic impact. The projectile punched through the hull like it was tissue paper. The kinetic energy turned into heat and explosive force inside the ship. The Krathul warship exploded. Debris spun away in all directions. "Direct hit," Lisa reported. Her voice was tight with satisfaction. "Target destroyed," the bridge crew cheered. But Nicole raised her hand for silence. "Stay focused. Tactical, continue firing. I want those capital ships eliminated." The railguns fired again and again. Each shot was calculated precisely by the Defiant's computers. The second Krathul capital ship tried to dodge. Its engines burned hard as it maneuvered desperately, but the projectile adjusted its course in mid-flight. Internal guidance systems tracked the target without mercy. Impact. Another brilliant explosion lit up the darkness. On the Worldbreaker, Thrakus stared at his tactical display. He could not believe what he was seeing. 2 of his capital ships were gone, destroyed in seconds. The human vessel had not even moved. It just stood there and methodically destroyed his ships. "Impossible," he breathed. "No ship should have that much firepower." Crixus worked frantically at his console. "War leader, their weapons are using solid projectiles at near light speed. Our shields cannot handle that kind of impact, and their defensive screens are far stronger than we calculated. Then we overwhelm them." Thrakus roared. His 4 eyes blazed with rage. "All ships full attack. Ram them if you must." "I want that vessel destroyed." The Krathul fleet surged forward. They abandoned their careful formation. Now it was a desperate all-out assault. Smaller ships darted ahead, hoping to close the distance and find weaknesses in the human defenses. Nicole watched them come. Her expression did not change. Launch fighters. Let us show them what a real carrier looks like. Along the Defiant sides, dozens of launch bays opened. Human fighter craft emerged like angry hornets. Their engines blazed bright blue. Each fighter carried weapons that would shame most frontier defense ships. Lieutenant Kyle Henderson led the first squadron out. His hands were steady on the controls despite the adrenaline pumping through his body. All wings, this is Hunter lead. Break by sections and engage at will. Show these aliens how humans fly. The fighters screamed into combat. Their plasma cannons lit up the void. They moved with grace that the heavier Krathul vessels could not match. Dancing between enemy fire, striking weak points with surgical precision. Kyle locked onto a Krathul frigate. His targeting computer calculated the perfect shot. Fox 3, he called, launching a missile. The weapon streaked toward its target. Its warhead contained enough antimatter to vaporize a small asteroid. The Krathul frigate's defense systems tried desperately to shoot it down. But the missile's electronic countermeasures confused their targeting. The explosion was beautiful and terrible. Splash 1 hostile, Kyle reported. He was already lining up his next target. All around the battlefield, human fighters tore through the Krathul formation. For every fighter lost to enemy fire, the humans destroyed 5 alien ships in return. On the Defiant, Nicole continued her methodical destruction of the enemy fleet. The great warship's weapons never stopped firing. Each shot was aimed precisely. Each shot was devastatingly effective, Captain, Peter reported. Enemy fleet formation is breaking apart. They are starting to scatter. Nicole studied the tactical display. The Krathul had arrived expecting an easy fight. Instead, they had run into a technological nightmare. Their weapons could not hurt the Defiant. Their ships could not survive the Defiant's firepower. Their fighters were being destroyed by human pilots who had trained their entire lives for this. Open a channel to the enemy flagship, Nicole commanded. Let us see if they are ready to listen now. Danny worked his console. Channel open, Captain. Nicole's voice rang out across the battlefield. Cold and unforgiving. Krathul vessel, this is your final warning. Withdraw from human space immediately, or I will destroy every single ship in your fleet. You have 30 seconds to decide. On the world breaker, Thrakus stared at the human transmission with all 4 eyes wide. Around him, his bridge crew looked to him for orders. Their confidence was shattered by the devastating losses. Half his fleet was gone. The human ship had not even been scratched. For the first time in his long career as a war leader, Thrakus felt something he had never experienced before. Something that made his blood run cold. Fear. He looked at the tactical display again. 23 ships destroyed. The rest were damaged. Shields failing, weapons running low on power, and the human vessel just kept firing. Relentless. Unstoppable. Thrakus had led the Krathul Dominion to victory after victory. He had crushed species that begged for mercy. He had watched worlds burn. He had thought himself invincible, now he knew the truth. The humans were not prey. They were predators, and he had made a terrible mistake. Sound the retreat, Thrakus growled. The words tasted like poison. All ships withdraw to jump coordinates immediately. The Krathul fleet began to run. Their engines burned at maximum power, trying to escape the deadly human warship. But Nicole was not done teaching them a lesson. Helm pursuit course, she ordered. Tactical, target their engines. I want them limping home, not running away clean. The Defiant accelerated. Its massive size moved with surprising speed. The great warship closed the gap with the fleeing Krathul vessels. Its weapons selected targets with cold precision. Railgun shots crossed the void. They struck engine sections and power cores. Krathul ships tumbled through space. Their propulsion systems were crippled, but their crews left alive. It was a deliberate choice by Nicole. A calculated message: we could have killed you all, but we are letting you live to tell others what happened here. Captain, Peter said. They are preparing to jump away. Should we follow them? Nicole shook her head. No, let them go. They have learned their lesson. She watched as the surviving Krathul vessels vanished, flashes of distorted space as they fled back to whatever dark corner of the galaxy they came from. Behind them, they left a field of wreckage, shattered ships, broken dreams of conquest. The silence on the Defiance bridge was heavy. Officers sat at their stations, still processing what had just happened. They had won. Against 40 enemy warships, they had won decisively. Nicole took a deep breath and straightened her uniform. All stations, stand down from combat alert. Damage report. Lisa checked her console carefully. Minor damage to outer hull plating from their initial attack. Shields are down to 84% but recharging normally. We lost 3 fighters in combat. All 3 pilots were recovered alive. 3 lives. Nicole felt the weight of each one. But she also knew the alternative had been the deaths of millions. Have their families notified? They will receive full military honors. Yes, Captain. Nicole turned to Danny. Open a channel to Meridian Point. The view screen changed to show Commander Jake Morrison's face. The man looked like he might collapse from relief. His eyes were wet with tears he was not ashamed to show. Captain Brady, Jake said. His voice shook. I do not know what to say. You saved us all. Every single one of us. We watched the battle on our sensors. It was incredible. Nicole allowed herself a small smile. That is what we came here to do, Commander. How are your people holding up? Scared, grateful, and probably going to talk about this battle for the rest of their lives. Jake replied with a weak laugh. Captain, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. One ship against their entire fleet. You made it look easy. It was not easy, Nicole corrected gently, but it was necessary. The Krathul have been attacking colonies for too long. They needed to learn that humanity is not helpless, that we protect our own. Jake nodded. His expression became serious. Captain, there are other colonies out here. Dozens of settlements living in fear of the Krathul. If you plan to continue your mission and help them, we do, Nicole assured him. The Defiant was sent to secure the frontier and protect our people. We are not leaving until every human colony is safe. That is a promise. Over the next several hours, the crew worked hard. Rescue teams searched the debris field for survivors, though they found none. The Krathul did not use escape pods. They preferred to die with their ships. Engineering crews helped the colony repair damage from previous raids. Fighter pilots returned to the ship. Kyle Henderson climbed out of his cockpit with shaking legs. The adrenaline was wearing off. He had faced death a dozen times in that battle. His fighter had taken hits, but he had survived. They had all survived. Good flying out there, Lieutenant, a voice said. Kyle turned to see Captain Brady standing nearby. He snapped to attention. Thank you, Captain. Just doing my job. You did more than your job, Nicole said. You and your squadron saved lives today. Be proud of that. Kyle felt warmth spread through his chest. Yes, ma'am. Nicole walked through the ship, checking on her crew. In the medical bay, doctors treated minor injuries. A few broken bones. Some burns from console fires. Nothing serious. In the engine room, Chief Ben Morris supervised repairs to damaged systems. How are we looking, Chief? Nicole asked. Ben wiped sweat from his forehead. The old girl took a beating, but she held together beautifully. Give me 6 hours and we will be back to 100%. Take the time you need. We are not going anywhere yet. Nicole returned to her ready room, a small office next to the bridge. She sat down heavily in her chair and closed her eyes. The exhaustion hit her all at once. 3 months of travel. Hours of battle. The weight of commanding over 2,000 crew members. A soft chime announced a visitor. Come in, she called. Peter entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. Thought you could use this, Captain. Nicole accepted the cup gratefully. The hot liquid felt good going down. Thank you, Peter. How is the crew doing? High on victory and adrenaline, Peter replied. He sat down across from her. Some are still in shock that we pulled it off. 1 ship against 40. We had superior technology and training, Nicole said, and we had the most important advantage. We were fighting to protect people. They were just here to conquer and kill. Peter nodded. Then his expression became serious. The Krathul will tell others about this battle, about us. This is going to change everything on the frontier. Nicole stared out the viewport at the stars. She thought about what Peter said. For years, the outer colonies had been alone, forgotten by Earth, vulnerable to any threat. That was about to change dramatically. Good, she said finally. Let every hostile species in this part of the galaxy know that Earth protects its colonies. That we stand with our people. That humanity is not some weak species they can prey on anymore. She turned back to Peter. Her eyes were bright with determination. We are going to patrol every sector where the Krathul attacked. We are going to find their bases and eliminate them, and we are going to send a message that echoes across the stars. Humanity is here, and we are done being victims. Peter raised his coffee cup to the Defiant, and sending that message, Nicole touched her cup to his. To the Defiant. Far away in deep space, the surviving Krathul ships limped toward their nearest base. Thrakus sat alone in his quarters. He watched recordings of the battle over and over, watching his fleet get destroyed systematically by a single human vessel. He had sent a message to Dominion leadership, describing the battle, warning them about the human warship. The response had been harsh. Disgrace for losing so many ships. Demotion for failing to secure territory. They called him a coward for retreating. But Thrakus knew something his superiors did not understand yet. This was not just about one battle or one ship. The humans had been quiet for years, letting the frontier struggle on its own, but they had been building, advancing, preparing. The Defiant was a message, Thrakus realized, a statement of power and intent. Earth was no longer content to let its colonies fight alone. They had sent their best warship, their best crew, their most advanced technology, and if they built one ship like the Defiant, they could build more. Many more. Thrakus felt fear run through his body again. The Krathul Dominion had terrorized the galaxy for decades, crushing every species that resisted, but they had never faced an enemy like this. An enemy with the industrial power and technological skill to build vessels that could stand against entire fleets. The age of easy conquest was over. On Meridian Point, celebrations erupted in the streets. People who had been preparing to die now danced and sang. Children who had cried in fear now laughed with joy. Commander Jake Morrison stood with his wife and daughter holding them close. "Is it really over, Daddy?" his daughter asked. She was only 7 years old. Jake looked up at the stars where the Defiant orbited. "The Krathul are gone, and Captain Brady promised she would protect us." "Yes, sweetheart. It is really over." His wife hugged him tighter. "Will she stay?" "I do not know," Jake admitted. "But I know she will keep her promise. Earth sent her here to protect the frontier, and that is what she is going to do." Across the frontier on dozens of colonies and settlements, people heard the news. The great human warship had defeated the Krathul, destroyed half their fleet, sent the rest running in terror. Hope spread like wildfire through communities that had lived in fear for 3 years. Back on the Defiant, Nicole stood on the bridge and looked at the tactical map. The frontier was huge. Hundreds of star systems, thousands of settlements, all of them vulnerable, all of them counting on her. "Set course for the Outer Hebrides sector," she ordered. "Intelligence reports pirate activity there. Time to remind everyone that human space is protected now." "Yes, Captain," the helm officer responded. The Defiant turned toward its next mission, 5 kilometers of steel and determination, carrying the hopes of millions of people on its armored hull. The Krathul had learned their lesson, but there were other threats in the galaxy. Other predators who thought humanity was easy prey. Nicole smiled grimly. They would all learn the same lesson eventually. Earth protects its own, and the Defiant was there to prove it. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Meridian Point. The frontier was a different place now. Captain Nicole Brady stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching 3 newly arrived warships from Earth take up positions around New Portland Colony. They were smaller than her ship, but still powerful. Each one carried enough weapons to defend an entire star system. Each one had crews trained to the same standards as her own. Earth had finally woken up. The core worlds were sending help to the frontier. "Real help, Captain," Lieutenant Danny Fisher said from communications. "Admiral Martin Clark is calling. He wants to speak with you." Nicole straightened her uniform. "Put him through." The view screen changed to show an older man with gray hair and stern features. He wore the uniform of an admiral with pride. Behind him, Nicole could see Earth's orbital command center. "Captain Brady," Admiral Clark said. His voice carried authority earned through decades of service. "I have been reading your mission reports. Very impressive work. Thank you, Admiral. The Defiant has performed beyond all expectations." Clark nodded slowly. "More than that, Captain. Your actions at Meridian Point changed everything. The Krathul have not launched a single raid since that battle. Neither have any of the other hostile groups that were causing problems out there." Nicole felt pride but kept her face professional. "Fear is a powerful tool, sir." "It certainly is," Clark agreed. "Which brings me to why I am calling. Fleet Command is implementing a new policy for the frontier. We are building permanent naval stations in key sectors. We will have rotating patrols and rapid response forces. No colony will be more than 2 days from military support. This was exactly what they had fought for, Nicole realized. Not just one victory, but real change in how Earth protected its people. That is excellent news, Admiral. Clark's expression softened a bit. It would not have happened without you, Nicole. Your battle with the Krathul woke everyone up. Politicians, military leaders, regular citizens. We all realized we had been failing our duty to the colonists. That is changing now. He paused, then continued. There is more. Several alien species have contacted us, ones that were also attacked by the Krathul. They want diplomatic relations with Earth. They want to form defense agreements. Your actions gave humanity real credibility on the galactic stage. Nicole thought about that carefully. The Defiant had been sent to fight and protect. But in doing so, they had opened doors to something bigger. They had proven that humanity could be trusted. That Earth kept its promises. What are my orders, Admiral? Continue your patrol of the frontier, Clark replied. Show our flag. Remind everyone that Earth is watching. And if any hostile force decides to test us again, you know what to do. Yes, sir. The transmission ended. Nicole turned to look at her crew. They had been through so much together. Battles with Krathul remnants trying to regroup. Rescue missions for stranded colonists. Even first contact with peaceful alien species who wanted to meet the humans everyone was talking about. Well, you heard the Admiral, Nicole said with a slight smile. We have more work to do. Helm, set course for the Outer Hebrides sector. Intelligence says there is pirate activity we need to investigate. Yes, Captain, came the response. As the Defiant turned toward its next mission, Nicole walked to the large viewport. She stared out at the endless stars. Each point of light was a sun with planets. Each planet might have people living on it. Civilizations, dreams, lives worth protecting. For too long, humanity had been defensive, reacting to threats instead of shaping its own future. That was changing now. Lieutenant Kyle Henderson flew his fighter on a routine patrol around the Defiant, his squadron spread out in a protective screen. He thought about the battle 6 months ago, how scared he had been in those first moments. Now, with dozens of missions behind him, he felt confident and capable. Hunter Lead, this is Hunter 3, came a voice. It was his wingman, Lieutenant Sophie Martin. I am picking up a distress signal. Civilian freighter under attack in Sector 77 Alpha. Kyle checked his display. The freighter was only 10 minutes away at full speed. Hunter Squadron, form up on me. We have people who need help. The fighters accelerated toward the distress call. This was what they did now. What the Defiant and its crew represented. Protection, strength, hope for humanity's future in the galaxy. They found the freighter being harassed by 3 pirate ships, small vessels with mismatched weapons, probably deserters from some forgotten war. All pirate vessels, this is Lieutenant Kyle Henderson of the USNS Defiant. Kyle broadcast. Break off your attack immediately and surrender. This is your only warning. The pirates saw the Earth military fighters and panicked. 2 of them jumped away immediately. The 3rd tried to run, but Kyle's squadron surrounded it. We surrender, the pirate captain screamed over the radio. Please do not shoot. Kyle smiled. 6 months ago, pirates had attacked frontier shipping without fear. Now they ran at the sight of Earth fighters. Stand down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. The freighter you attacked will be escorted safely to port. On the surface of Meridian Point, Commander Jake Morrison walked with his daughter through the rebuilt streets. The colony had grown in the past 6 months. New families arrived every week, no longer afraid to live on the frontier. Daddy? His daughter asked. She was 8 now and full of questions. Is the Defiant still up there protecting us? Jake looked up at the sky. Yes, honey. Captain Brady and her crew are watching over all of us. Will they always be here? Maybe not always in this exact spot, Jake said carefully. But Earth sent more ships now. There will always be someone protecting us. Those days of being alone and scared are over. His daughter smiled and hugged his arm. She would grow up in a very different frontier than Jake had known. One where children did not have nightmares about alien warships, where families could build futures without constant fear. Across the frontier in hundreds of colonies, millions of humans felt the same way. The age of terror was ending. The age of protection had begun. In a war room deep in Krathul space, military leaders gathered around a holographic display. They watched the recording of the Battle of Meridian Point for the 100th time, watching the human warship destroy their fleet with ease. We cannot fight this, one of the younger leaders said. Their technology is decades ahead of ours, maybe centuries. The oldest war leader, a scarred veteran named Vrakus, nodded slowly. The humans were quiet for so long. We thought they were weak. We were wrong. What do we do? Another asked. Vrakus looked at each of them. We avoid human space. We mark it as forbidden territory, and we hope they are satisfied with defending their own and do not decide to come for us. The Krathul Dominion, which had terrorized the galaxy for decades, now feared a single species. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage not through conquest but through strength used in defense of the innocent. On the Defiant, Nicole sat in her ready room and wrote in her personal log. She recorded her thoughts about the past 6 months. The battles fought. The lives saved. The future being built. We came out here to protect our people, she wrote. But we did more than that. We showed the galaxy what humanity stands for. We proved that strength used wisely creates peace, that protecting the weak earns respect, that standing together makes us all stronger. She paused and looked out at the stars again. The frontier is changing. Earth is finally keeping its promises, and the Defiant will continue to patrol these systems for as long as we are needed, because that is what we do. We protect, we serve. We stand watch so others can sleep safely. Nicole closed her log and stood up. There was always more work to do. More colonies to visit, more threats to investigate, more people depending on them. She walked back to the bridge where her crew worked efficiently at their stations. Good people doing important work, making the galaxy a safer place one day at a time. Status report, Nicole asked. Peter looked up with a smile. All systems normal, Captain. We will reach the Outer Hebrides sector in 6 hours. Good. Maintain course and speed. The Defiant continued through space, a massive guardian watching over humanity's future. Its weapons ready, but its purpose clear. Not conquest, not domination. Protection. The galaxy had been ravaged by countless species over countless years, each one seeking power through violence and fear. The Krathul had been just the latest predators, but then a massive human warship appeared. And everything changed. Now 6 months later, that change continued to spread. More Earthships arrived. More colonies felt safe. More species sought friendship with humanity instead of conflict. The Defiant sailed on through the darkness, carrying its mission with pride. Captain Nicole Brady and her crew remained ready. Ready to defend, ready to protect, ready to remind anyone who forgot the lesson. Humanity protects its own, and the galaxy was better for it. The age of fear was ending. The age of hope had begun. And at the center of that hope, a 5-kilometer warship patrolled the frontier. Not seeking war, but ensuring peace. Not conquering, but protecting. The Defiant had done its job well, and it would continue to do so for as long as humanity needed it. The stars stretched out endlessly, each one a promise of tomorrow. Each one watched over by people who cared. The frontier was finally safe, and it would stay that way.